The relationship between language and culture has been widely discussed by people for a very long time, and it is still fascinating people from different backgrounds. Language is created by humans as a tool for communication, and its formation is affected by the culture in which the language is used. For example, in the Eskimo culture, snow is very important. So you can see that in their languages, they have different terms to distinguish between different kinds of snow. So basically, we can say that language is affected by culture. But now let's take a different point of view. Do you think that language can also influence people's worldview? A guy named Horf believes so. He proposed a famous linguistic hypothesis called Horfian hypothesis, in which it states that people's worldview and experience is defined by their use of language. This hypothesis was later defined by others as having two versions, one stronger, one weaker. The stronger one claims that people's worldview is defined by their use of language, while the weaker one states that language does not define our worldview, but it does influence our perception, thought, and even part of the behavior. So we know that when it comes to science, it is very important to have evidence. So there's a linguist called John Lucy. He tried to test on the ideas of Horf. His experiment is to test on the grammatical category of numbers in English and Yucatec Maya. It's okay if you don't know what Yucatec Maya is because it's just a language. Those language marks nouns for plural. But in English, there's a contrast between countable and uncountable noun. While in Yucatec Maya, it's optional and they only mark nouns for nouns that indicate animate, which means that they only use plural for things that is alive. He asked the speakers of both languages to look at pictures of ordinary village life, and later use a non-verbal test to see what they remember. And the result turns out that the English speakers are more sensitive to animate entities and objects, but not substance, while the Yucatec Maya speakers are only sensitive for animate entities. This shows that some evidence does exist to support Horf's ideas. However, there are also counter-arguments. One of them is the color experiment on Dani. Dani is a tribe that only uses two color terms, that is black and white, or say dark and light. If Horf is right, it should be difficult for Dani people to identify different colors that their language does not have a name for. But do you think so? Of course not. The result turns out that Dani people are able to distinguish between different colors, even there's no name for it in their languages. However, we have to note that studies also found that people remember colors more easily when we have a name in our language. So this shows that although our worldview is not defined by our language, it can still influence our perception. Now you may think that from the previous examples, we found that the stronger claims for the hypothesis can be maintained, while the weaker one can still be supported. So the result is that few linguists will accept the stronger claim, but most of them will accept the weaker one. Now you may think that these examples are too far away from us, but actually we can find examples in our daily lives. And the most obvious one is the tense in English and Chinese. We know that there's no tense in Chinese, or at least I would say we don't have a strict grammatical rules for tense. So there's no past tense and present tense, no, past tense and future tense in Chinese. But does that mean the Chinese speakers don't have the concept of past and future? No, of course we do have. So, but whether or not a language has future tense does matter in some ways. For example, a few months ago I saw a TED Talk in which the speakers found that countries that have no future tense in their languages have a higher saving rate. He also found that future-tense language speakers are less likely to smoke in a given point of time, and less likely to be obese by the time their retirement. He suggests that this is probably because when there's no future tense in our language, people will tend to think that the future is something similar to the present. And so people of the future-tense language will tend to have a higher saving rate or more aware about their health. So this is another example in our daily life that shows that even though the language cannot determine our worldview, we are still affected by the language we use. Once we understand more about the relationship between language and culture, we can make use of it. For example, the speaker in the TED Talk wants to find out how much language can affect people's decision making so that they can provide tools to help people with their decisions. People often take language only for tools for communication, but language is never just a tool. It has power. And it is so powerful that it is even able to affect its creator. So never take language for granted. Instead, be aware of it, because you will never know how much you will be affected by your use of language. Toast matter of evening.
Right. I think I know 7 languages, but all of them are programming language. So maybe next time I should study how programming languages affect my thoughts. Right. Time for our judge, Angie. Angel, please.
Hi, Joyce. Glad to be your evaluator. I think your topic surprises us a lot. Since you major in foreign language, we would suppose your speech might be tell us how to learn English efficiently, something like that. But I am so surprised to learn your speech is so knowledgeable and professional this time. Thank you so much. And also, I thought your content is so well organized. Your PowerPoint is beautiful with a lot of illustrating clear pictures, and the color is great. And you put out vast comparisons of a lot of your ideas, the two sides of the ideas, and also where your language is really fluent, so that we can listen to and think about your ideas clearly at the same time. And my only suggestion for you is your eye contact. I know you have tried to spread your eye contact, but sometimes it's just like a browse through everyone's head. It's just like looking at us a watermelon. But if next time you can try to stay and focus your eye contact on some people and say one word and then move to another one, that will make your speech more impressive and sincere. Thank you.